Jared, you also played Underworld Ascendant.
Well, actually, I want to be clear. I saw a demonstration of Underworld Ascendant.
You were near Underworld Ascendant.
I was in the presence of Underworld Ascendant, and I talked with some of the people who are making the game. So this is the Ultima game that can't be called Ultima.
Right.
Yeah, you guys
because EA owns it.
Right. Did you guys play Ultima Underworld?
No.
I did not.
Okay, so Underworld is, think like proto Deus Ex.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this. People were like, "Hey, we have these first-person RPGs where we're going through corridors,
like 90-degree turns, single frame
and
images."
And at the same time, first-person shooters were kind of, and they're like, "What if we had a world where you could just walk around and do stuff?" Really early on. And it was innovative, and it was the great-great-granddaddy of what became, like Skyrim or Deus Ex or things like that. The puzzle-solving, combat, interactive environments where you could do all kinds of neat, fun, emergent things. And it was all set in the Stygian Abyss, and now the guys that helped put this together have gotten back, and they got the band back together, or at least some of it, and they're building.
So this was a Kickstarter thing. Kickstarter succeeded. However many months it's been, like there's a video game now.
Yeah, there's a slice of a video game. They were very transparent about the fact that this is a work in progress, but they've got some of the systems working now. They wanted to show, so they've upgraded the visuals. They have been crystal clear about the fact that they know they can't compete with what people expect from a AAA game. They're not even going to try. So they're just going to try to make it look clean and passable and not an affront to the eyes and create something that looks good.
I hope that the kind of offsetting thing with that is like, okay, we can't make AAA quality, high fidelity, so let's do something interesting with the art.
I think that the little slice that I saw it sure was art. It worked.
It was art.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it didn't. It was not offensive to the eyes at all. It was functional.
Yeah. Where people run into trouble with that is trying to make like realistic looking graphics.
Yeah.
But they just don't have the resources to do it, so it ends up looking like something from 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. There was a big pillar of fire, and I'm like, hey, look, a big pillar of fire. It's kind of cartoony and it works.
Right. The cartooniness is what helps.
Yeah, that works for me. But what they are working on is, the two strengths of that kind of game that they think they can really innovate on. One is, with a player-authored situation where you're in an area full of lore and full of inhabitants and things you can interact with, but how you choose to interact with those systems really defines how your adventure goes. You're telling your own story. Again, that Skyrim-y kind of thing.
So I was going to ask, obviously, it's not a big AAA game. It's not a Bethesda game that they spent 6 years making.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be the same quality, but how does it compare to its sort of contemporaries that Ultima inspired, like Deus Ex and Skyrim and those kinds of games? Like, how does Ascendant compare to those?
The little slice that I saw, I can't give you a definitive answer of what's going to happen. I think they're moving in the right direction. What they were showing off was kind of a proof of concept, where they said, hey, look, there's you, and you turn this light off, and there's a shadow beast. And now you're going through the dungeon, the shadow beast is chasing you, and shadow beast doesn't like light, so it evades or puts out light sources. You can use environmental things that has you using traps against it and having flowing rivers of lava that you're using light sources from to move it around it. But these are all independent systems. It's not a scripted environment. It's just a bunch of stuff laid around that all happens to interact in unpredictable ways. And you and the AI are kind of facing off in that constantly. In that scenario that we saw, there was no combat. They were playing a thief with some magic skills. And there was no fighting at all. They're like, yeah, if you were a fighter, you just walk in, bang, 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 kill the shadow beast. But in this situation, using a combination of spell knowledge and of stealth and evasion,
that's more interesting to me
through
than
stuff
brute force.
Right, and it was just stuff that happened to be laid around. So they're like, the idea is we're gonna have this whole giant lore-filled Stygian abyss with a really neat immersive story, and then you're gonna be able to play with it.
So if I've never played an Ultima game in my entire life, not once. I'm like vaguely aware of what they are and the people behind it. Like, if I've never been into that, is that something that's going to appeal to someone like me who's maybe, I guess, like a younger PC gamer?
I think so. If you like nerd lore.
Yeah.
If you like nerd lore, Ultima is your land.
It's basically a digital D&D handbook.
It is, but I like Ultima's lore more than most of D&Ds.
Yeah.
And also, Underworld and the Ultima universe they're a little different. The Stygian it's the kind of place where you're just like, I want to read compendiums. If you read role-playing books for fun and never play the game, these are the games for you. What makes Ultima fun? It's always been kind of innovative and neat and tried new things, and it's been very unapologetically like uber nerdy. And I'm excited about that idea because these guys were talking in glowing terms about the relationships between the underworld civilizations and how each is, You are speaking my language. Sign me up. I love that stuff. If you're just wanting to hop in and hack at things, I don't know. I'd give it a try. Knowing you, Mitch, I think you'd go for it. Dan, I don't know. What about you? Is that appealing to you?
I enjoy that style of game. I'm much more of a sci-fi setting than fantasy guy.
Me too.
I never played an Ultima game either because I'm much more into sci-fi RPGs. I play some of them, but I never actually finished a Dragon Age. Whereas the Mass Effect games, I'm like, yeah, I'm all about those. And Fallout versus like Torment, I was all about Fallout. So I don't know if I'd be into it, but I do really like the systems-based stuff where you can toy with the environment. I mean, that's one of my favorite things about like even something like BioShock, where you just maximize the use of things in the environment to mess up bad guys. Like it's a much more interesting form of combat.
Yeah, there seem to be a lot of multiple approaches that were going to be possible in interactions with different AI actors that would cause different interesting stuff to happen. And also, I talked about the lore, and the other end of Ultima is it has also been very innovative. Ultima 3 is the prototype for party-based video game setup. Four guys in a party doing, or Ultima 4. That game is amazing. You don't even know what your goal is when you start it. Like you're just a guy, and it gives you
like Skyrim.
They give you a fortune telling test, and they ask you a bunch of like these morality questions. They're like, okay, so in this moral dilemma, what do you choose? You finish that, it assigns you a class based on those decisions, it drops you in the world, and Lord British is like, yeah, the giant crisis is over, but since the giant crisis is over, nobody really knows what to do anymore. So go inspire the land. And that's the start of the game.
All right. And whatever you say, Lord British.
So Underworld did, it innovated in creating some of these things that have now become very common in games like what we see with Bethesda. I think what these guys are trying to do is harken back to those roots and try to create something that's exists between the expanse of Skyrim that's got a little maybe more constrained tightness to the environment where you can play around with these tricks and traps more, and I think that's fun.
And Richard Garriott is not involved in this, right?
No, Underworld was always
doing his own
that
thing,
was kind of an Underworld was a offshoot of Ultima. It was a side series, Ultima Gaiden, and so 1 and 2 both were great games. And I think it's neat, but I'd also, I don't want to overhype. I saw Slice, so there's a long way to go.
When is it going to be playable?
That Slice was playable. They're not projecting a playable game for a while yet. They're a full large game. It'll be a bit before we see that.
That's something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, out there on the horizon. I think this is a long-term thing.
Do we have any video of it up on the site? That people
we do. People can go along with some developer commentary of what's going on.
Nice.
Yeah, actually, by the time this goes up, there'll also be a little written thing by me.
Cool. Go find that. Go find Jared's name on a cool little article thing.
Yeah.